Hi everyone, my name is Emily Teacher, and today we'll be reading The Story of William Tell. In the town of Altdorf, Switzerland, stands a famous statue of William Tell, his son at his side, his crossbow slung over his shoulder. Although historians dispute William Tell's existence, there is no evidence that he was a real person. Tell is a national hero of the Swiss people. He is a symbol of political and individual freedom. So historians dispute William Tell's existence. Some argue that he really existed, and some argue that he did not exist. But there's really no evidence that he was a real person. But still, he is an amazing symbol of political and individual freedom for the Swiss people. So let's read about William Tell. 700 years ago, the Swiss people were ruled by Austria. The governor of Switzerland was an Austrian named Gessler. Gessler despised the Swiss people. He hated the Swiss people. He did not consider them capable of ruling themselves. One day he decided to humiliate them. He put his cap on a pole and ordered everyone in the town of Altdorf who passed by to bow before it. The Swiss people regarded the cap as a symbol of Austrian rule, and they detested it. However, the people of Altdorf had no choice. Sullenly, they obeyed the order. So Gessler was this very mean ruler. He was Austrian, but he was ruling the Swiss people. So he didn't like the Swiss people and wanted to humiliate them, so he made them bow to his hat that he put on a pole. And of course, the Swiss people had to obey because they didn't want to get in trouble. So sullenly, they obeyed the order. William Tell, a peasant from a nearby Swiss village, happened to be visiting Altdorf with his young son. Tell was famous for his skill as a boatman and was equally expert with the crossbow. He was also a proud man. The people of the village watched as he approached the cap. Would he bow his head before it? No one was surprised to see him walk past the cap with his head held high. The Austrian guards arrested him for his crime and took him before the governor. So William Tell came to town. He did not bow before the hat, so he was arrested. Gessler had heard of William Tell's remarkable skill with the crossbow. It amused him to give his prisoner a choice: either go to prison or win freedom by shooting an apple from the top of his son's head at 100 paces. So 100 steps away, he had to shoot an apple off of his son's head. Tell did not hesitate. After pacing out the distance, he removed 2 arrows from his quiver. He inserted the first one into the groove of his crossbow. The second arrow he tucked into his belt. He wound the spring of his crossbow and took careful aim. There was a tense silence, right? Everyone was kind of worried about what would happen. Those watching waited for him to release the arrow. When he did so, it flashed through the air, splitting the apple cleanly in two. The boy was unharmed. Gessler congratulated William Tell for demonstrating such skill. Then he asked what the second arrow was for. So up until now, William Tell did a great job. He hit the apple off of his son's head just like Gessler asked. Let's look at this word quiver. This word quiver is going to be the noun quiver, right? A quiver is where you hold arrows for a bow and arrow. So that little case is called a quiver, making this quiver a noun. Let's see what William Tell did next. William Tell looked him in the eye. He said, "If the first arrow had hurt my son, the second arrow would have pierced your heart." Gessler was outraged by this reply. He ordered Tell locked up for the rest of his life. But the boat that was carrying him across the lake to prison ran into a storm. The frightened crew knew that William Tell was a skilled boatman. They untied him and implored him to take over. Tell seized the helm. While the crew cowered below, he steered the boat toward the rocky shore. At the last moment, he leapt ashore and escaped. So William Tell was free, right? But then he said something to Gessler that made him go to prison again, right? He told him that if the arrow had hurt his son, he planned to kill Gessler. But while on the boat taking him to prison, there was a big storm. So those who were on the boat, the crew, asked him to help steer the ship. So he used that as an opportunity to escape. Once free, he lay in wait at a place where he knew Gessler would pass. So he waited somewhere close by where Gessler was going to be. When the governor did so, the arrow from William Tell's bow found its mark. Gessler died instantly. The news of William Tell's deeds spread quickly and made him a hero to the Swiss people. It helped to unite them in their struggle and eventually led to their freedom from Austrian rule. So at the end, William Tell won. He was free, Gessler had died, and the Swiss people were going to be free. Thank you for listening to this story today. We do have links related to each article. If you want the link related to this story, you can find it down in the description below.